Journey back to the Arabian Peninsula in 570 CE, a land of endless deserts, rugged mountains, and scattered oases. Life was harsh, shaped by tribal loyalties and ancient customs. Mecca, though not an imperial capital, was a vital center of trade and spirituality. At its heart stood the Kaaba, a simple cube believed to be built by Abraham and Ishmael, drawing pilgrims from across Arabia. The Quraysh tribe, proud custodians of the Kaaba, governed a society bound by honor and tradition. Yet beneath the surface there was a growing sense of spiritual restlessness and social inequality. The old ways felt insufficient. People yearned for justice and purpose. In 570 CE, a dramatic event would mark the year forever, the Year of the Elephant. An army led by a foreign ruler and accompanied by a massive war elephant marched toward Mecca, threatening its spiritual heart. This event would become a powerful prelude to a greater transformation. The city held its breath, sensing that change was near. The Kaaba's fate and that of Mecca hung in the balance. The people of Arabia stood on the edge of a new era. The stage was set for a story that would echo through history. And in this year, destiny would unfold in ways no one could imagine. In Yemen, Abraha al-Ashram, an ambitious Abyssinian Christian ruler, sought to make his cathedral in Sana'a the new spiritual center of Arabia. He aimed to divert the pilgrimage from Mecca to his grand cathedral Al-Qulay's, seeking both religious and economic dominance. The Kaaba's continued reverence frustrated him, fueling his determination to destroy it. When an Arab defiled his cathedral, Abraha's anger turned to resolve. He would march on Mecca and demolish the Kaaba. He assembled a formidable army, led by a colossal war elephant named Mahmud. The presence of the elephant was meant to terrify and subdue Mecca before battle even began. News of Abraha's intentions spread quickly, sending fear across the desert. The Quraysh faced a threat unlike any before. Abraha's march was not just a military campaign, it was a direct challenge to Mecca's spiritual authority. The fate of the Kaaba, and the soul of Arabia, was at stake. The confrontation between worldly ambition and sacred tradition was inevitable. The desert awaited the clash. Abraha's army, with its war elephant, advanced across the desert, overwhelming tribes in its path. The Quraysh, unprepared for such force, knew resistance was futile. The Kaaba, their sanctuary, faced destruction, a spiritual catastrophe. Abraha's forces camped near Mecca, seizing livestock including camels belonging to Abdul-Muttalib, the respected Quraysh elder. This act was a final assertion of dominance, signaling Mecca's vulnerability. Fear gripped the city as the army prepared for its assault. The people watched helplessly, the Kaaba's fate seemingly sealed. Abraha was confident in his victory, believing nothing could stop him. The city stood exposed, awaiting what felt like inevitable ruin. The Quraysh could only hope for a miracle. The tension in Mecca was palpable. The sacred and the profane were about to collide. The world watched as Mecca faced its darkest hour. The outcome would shape history. In crisis, the Quraysh turned to Abdul-Muttalib, their wise chief. Instead of fighting, he chose faith and diplomacy, seeking an audience with Abraha. When asked what he wanted, Abdul-Muttalib requested only the return of his camels, not the Kaaba's safety. Abraha was stunned. "Why not plead for the Kaaba?" Abdul-Muttalib replied, "I am the owner of the camels. The house has its own lord to protect it." This statement of trust left Abraha speechless. Abdul-Muttalib reclaimed his camels and advised the Meccans to seek refuge in the mountains. Alone at the Kaaba, he prayed, entrusting its fate to God. The people evacuated, watching from the hills as events unfolded. The city was left in divine hands. The stage was set for a miracle. Faith, not force, would decide Mecca's destiny. The world waited for what would come next. At dawn, Abraha's army prepared to destroy the Kaaba. The war elephant Mahmud was brought forward but refused to move toward the sacred house. No force could make it advance on Mecca. Suddenly, a dark cloud appeared, an enormous flock of small birds, the ababil. Each bird carried 3 stones of baked clay. The birds swarmed above the army, dropping their stones with uncanny precision. The stones struck with devastating force, piercing armor and felling soldiers. Panic and chaos erupted. The mighty army was thrown into disarray. The invaders fled, broken and defeated by a force beyond human power. The Kaaba stood untouched, protected by a miracle. The people of Mecca witnessed the impossible. The Year of the Elephant became legend. Divine intervention had saved the sacred house. The city's faith was vindicated. A new sense of destiny filled Mecca. Abraha's army was utterly destroyed, their power shattered by the miraculous storm of stones. Survivors, including Abraha, suffered terrible afflictions as they retreated. Abraha died in disgrace. The valley became a graveyard for arrogance and ambition. The Quraysh, watching from the mountains, saw their sanctuary saved by divine will. The Kaaba stood unharmed, its sanctity affirmed for all to see. The Year of the Elephant became a turning point in Arabian history. Mecca's status as a spiritual center was solidified. The people felt chosen, protected by a higher power. The miracle created an atmosphere of expectation. Something greater was destined for Mecca. The city awaited a new chapter. The world sensed a coming change. The stage was set for a birth that would transform history. In the Year of the Elephant, a different kind of miracle occurred, the birth of a child in Mecca. Born into the noble Banu Hashim clan, his lineage traced back to Abraham and Ishmael. His mother, Amina, experienced signs and dreams foretelling her son's greatness. She was told to name him Muhammad. His birth was marked by humility and sorrow. His father, Abdullah, had died before he was born. Muhammad entered the world as an orphan, connecting him to the vulnerable and marginalized. His arrival was quiet, yet destined to change the world. The city sensed the significance of this birth. The miracle of the Kaaba's protection was a sign of what was to come. The promise of guidance and mercy had arrived. A new era was beginning. Abdul Muttalib, overjoyed at his grandson's birth, carried Muhammad to the Kaaba to give thanks. He named the child Muhammad, the praised one, hoping he would be honored by God and people alike. The name was rare, chosen with prophetic insight. Muhammad's orphanhood shaped his empathy and compassion. He understood suffering and vulnerability from the start. This experience would define his message, championing the rights of orphans, widows, and the poor. His life began with humility and reliance on God. The protection of the Kaaba and Muhammad's birth were deeply connected. He would restore the Kaaba's original purpose, pure monotheism. His coming marked the end of ignorance and the dawn of enlightenment. Muhammad was the answer to ancient prayers and prophecies. He was sent as a mercy to all creation. The world's hope had arrived. Muhammad's birth in 570 CE was a turning point for humanity. In a world of empires and injustice, he represented hope and renewal. The Year of the Elephant cleared the way for a new kind of authority, one based on truth and mercy. Muhammad would conquer hearts, not lands, with his character and wisdom. He became known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, long before his prophethood. His teachings offered a blueprint for justice, compassion, and faith. The orphan of Mecca became a spiritual father to billions. The protection of the Kaaba and Muhammad's birth were intertwined beginnings. His life and message would illuminate the world. Even in darkness, a light can emerge to guide humanity home.